Hello and welcome to Movie Film Studios, the only podcast that takes you inside the mind of two film studio executives as we unravel and then re-ravel the best that Hollywood has to offer. I'm Isaac.
And I'm AJ, and this week our wrestling-obsessed family gets a call from Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, instructing them to journey into a magical world of fairies to stop a violent killer from exploiting a time loop.
That sounds incredibly interesting.
I know. But before we get into something new, it's time for something old as we check in on our last feature in Box Office Report.
So last week we released a film called The Recalled Toys, about the older style toys that have gone out of favor over the years, and they're I think they come back from an island to not necessarily torment kids, but I think that kind of ends up happening. Just to be played with again,
yeah. So this film did really, really, really well, briefly. So, as you know, for this particular film, we went through the archives and found all the toys that had either been fallen out of favor or had been banned for being too dangerous or for whatever reason, they're just not around anymore. We decided to bring them back, put them in the film, and then sell them as toys.
Yeah.
So we did this. We released the film, sold a bunch of toys, and then we closed shop. I made sure to make this film under a shell company, so that's not traceable to us, because basically what happened is there's a reason why all these toys are banned. They're really dangerous, and they should not be in the hands of children, adults, or anyone else that could potentially touch them. So in order to to avoid them being recalled again and us being sued and all that, I just basically shut shop. Like, this film doesn't exist anymore. I've pulled it from the internet. I've pulled it from every cinema. There's no place to return the toys to, even if you wanted to. Retailers are basically like, we have no shipping address to send these toys back, so that's it. No one knows. No one knows what to do with any of them. So
we're learning. Learning to avoid the legal suits. It's right. The old smash and grab.
It is, yeah.
Get the cash. I also kind of felt as though I saw very, very briefly that a lot of these these toys were being banned at schools.
Yep, of course. It's really dangerous.
Yeah, and there was like this really brief flash in the pan. You know, fads. You ever remember at school, like in around year 6, there was a yo-yo fad for a couple of months, and everyone had yo-yos, and then next month everyone had pogs, and these things sort of go through the school wildfire and are forgotten just as quickly.
Yep.
Every day was a new item. And again, it lasted for about a week, and then it was just gone. So
I'm pretty sure the only place you can get these toys now is sort of like the primary school black market. Like, kids are just trading them around, huddled around like a tree or something in shadowy corners of
lest they be confiscated.
Yeah, because they will be confiscated. They should not be handling them. But no liability. We don't know what happened to that company. It wasn't made under the Movie Film Studios banner. It was something else. Probably Giznep. But anyway, on to this week in trailers. And speaking of Giznip, the first trailer we have for you today is Artemis Fowl, based on the short the series of books of the same name, directed by Kenneth Branagh and starring Ferdia Shaw, Lara McDonnell, and Nonso Al-Nonzi.
Our world has never been in more danger. Human greed is what drove us underground all those years ago. To escape from your rapacious appetite. I warn you, boy. You are not prepared for the truth behind what you seek.
I probably should have also mentioned that this apparently stars Josh Gad and Judi Dench, and they're probably the two names I should have led with because they're the ones you'd actually know. But as I said, this is based on a series of books that have been around for a long time.
I read these probably in the late 90s by Owen Colfer.
Yes. I feel like it was probably about the same time that Harry Potter started as well. Yeah. And this is also sort of goes into the world of magic, I believe. It's fairies and
it is the basic plot of the story is a young boy who is a genius who's named Artemis Fowl. Decides to try and hustle a pot of gold out of fairies because he finds a loophole in their laws, and they're very reluctant to give away their gold, and so they try and use all of their magics to trick him, but he's more than prepared. So it's kind of like a heist film.
Yes.
It's a bit Ocean's 11. It's a bit
which is cool.
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
so
which is cool. Yeah.
It was very sort of sharp and witty, but I was 13 at the time and had this very this kid who was cool and could hack into the computers to find the back end of the fairy lore and had all this sort of money at his disposal to do whatever he wanted. It was kind of very wish fulfilling. This film looks so unnecessarily computer generated. In a way that Disney or Giznet, as the logo looks more like, has just been doing with everything recently.
Yeah, I feel like, based on what you just said there, how this was a thing that when you read you thought was insanely cool. I think the last shot of this trailer is the kid Artemis Fowl in a pair of sunglasses, just walking towards the camera, looking very smarmy and apparently cool. He just looks like a dork.
He does.
He does not look cool at all. It's the worst shot in this trailer, and it's smothered in CGI. But I feel like the Disney kind of rationale at the moment is throw enough CGI at it. Parts of it will look real, and those are the parts we'll focus on. So it's like something in it will look real. The rest of it, who gives a crap? It's just so over the top. And I mean, speaking of, this is sort of where they're at the moment. We also watched the trailer for The Lion King along with, 750 million other people. And unlike 750 million other people, I am not fawning over it because it looks similarly terrible.
I cannot stand the fact that it's being called a live-action remake. I mean, I get it. If you're going to do Beauty and the Beast and Pete's Dragon and Cinderella, these are legitimately live-action remakes because you have some people that you've shot on film. This is completely animated.
100% animated.
It's a computer-animated film. It's just, it's a re-animated. It's not even a reimagined.
Yeah. It's pretty much like we sort of looked at it and it's like a shot-for-shot kind of remake of some of the original shots from the actual animated classic, the 90s animated classic. And it looks soulless and dead, and like the only redeeming feature is the music that they pulled from the original version for this trailer, which is why everyone loves it. But Disney, stop doing this. Stop. Just film an actor on a stage with some sets and some props, and forget the CGI for a little while and just see what happens. See what comes out.
Yeah, it's even if you look at what Alice in Wonderland, the Nutcracker one that came out recently, it's just so sick.
It's horrid.
With CG backgrounds, and that at least has some people in it. This has nothing.
Nothing. Anyway, go see Artemis Fowl whenever. Just go read the books. Actually, go and do that because I'm pretty sure they're going to
build a time machine. Go back to when you were 13 and read the books because I assure you they were quite enjoyable when I was that age.
Exactly. All right, on to the second trailer for this week's episode, which is Fighting with My Family, written and directed by Stephen Merchant and starring Florence Pugh, Jack Lowden, Nick Frost, Lena Headey, and some other people.
I'm watching that. Give me the remote. No, give it off.
Zach, what the bloody hell do you think you're doing? You really want to choke her out in a lot of fingers?
Yeah.
Now pull it tight. Yeah, now she's in trouble.
Oh, wait, I know you. You're from that weird family, aren't you?
We're not weird.
We don't like wrestling.
How do you know if you've never been?
I've never had rectal bleeding before, but I'm pretty sure I'm not a fan of that.
How about I shove her head up your ass and then we can find out? Hello?
My name is Hutch Morgan. I'm calling from WWE. We'd like both of you to come try out for us.
It's all fake anyway, isn't it?
What?
So Stephen Merchant is quite famously the writing partner of Ricky Gervais.
Ricky Gervais, yes.
And has done some, quite good things. I've quite liked him in the shows he's done. This seems a bit left of center for him.
Yeah.
It focuses on a brother and sister who've grown up all of their life wanting to be part of this World Wrestling Federation or Worldwide Entertainment. What is it called? WWE
it's
now.
WWE.
I don't know what the E stands for anymore.
Entertainment, I think.
Sure, World Wrestling Entertainment. I couldn't tell you. And so it follows their journey where they've been accepted into a training camp and then lo and behold, the sister is the one who's chosen to go on and leaves the brother behind, and it's her story and her journey into this wrestling league. Not, the quaint little small town British stuff that they normally do. And it didn't actually seem overtly funny. It just seemed...
No, but this is actually based on a true story.
Apparently.
So this film is based on a documentary about the wrestler Paige, the WWE wrestler Paige. I don't know who that is. I'm sure they're probably famous if they've got a single name as a name or they're no monotonous. So yeah, it's sort of based in the real world kind of story, I guess, of this particular wrestler. So I guess that's probably why it's not excessively funny. Having said that, there are kind of some fun gags in there. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is in this film, and he sort of appears, as himself, or as a fictionalized version of himself. The brother and sister sort of go up to him and say, "Oh, do you have any advice for us?" And he's like, "Yeah, I have advice for you. Shut the hell up!" And then he goes into launches into this massive tirade about all sorts of stuff. But there's a nice line later on which I actually really enjoyed, where he's like, "Don't try to be the next me, be the first you." Yeah, and it's like, oh, that's sweet. That's really nice.
That line's so good. It's going in the trailer.
Exactly. That's the cuddly way I like to see The Rock anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, it looks, it's kind of fun. Nick Frost is in it, really kind of playing the kind of shabby dad who's really Chav.
You got to hit that hard. You put a sh sound to it. You make it sound much more upper class. Yeah,
the chavvy kind of dad who's also super into wrestling. It's a wrestling based family, and yeah, I believe it's going to talk about how the sister was chosen, the brother wasn't, and I really hope that's not a main plot point. To be honest,
it does feel very much like that's like the end of Act 1, and we're about a minute into the trailer. I'm like, what story do you have left for the rest of the film?
Yep.
I've been surprised before, but this one does not feel like it's going to do a lot more than that.
I think if you're really into Paige, you'll probably get a kick out of this because it's, I don't know, it could be fun. Vince Vaughn is also in this as sort of like a trainee or a trainer rather, or a coach. It just reminds me of Dodgeball. I can't not see him in Dodgeball for some reason. That's the only character I can remember of his. To
be fair, as soon as I saw him, I was kind of turned off this film. I was like, really? It's just the underdog story part 2.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, go see that. I don't know, whenever you want. All right, on to the final trailer for this week's episode, which is Happy Death Day to You, directed by Christopher Landon and starring Jessica Roth, Israel Brassard, Suraj Sharma, and Sarah Yarkin.
Dude, I am tripping right now. I feel like I've totally lived through this day already.
Deja vu?
Yes.
The day reset when you died, right?
Yeah.
I might be able to help with that. I died 11 times. I was stuck reliving the same day over and over again until someone wearing a baby mask murdered me on the night of my birthday. Turns out it was my roommate Lori. I kicked her crazy ass out a window and killed her, which broke the loop. But now I'm living the better version of my life.
You okay?
No.
Oh, hey, you're up. I folded your pants for you.
No way.
Dude, did you hit that or what?
I don't believe this. It's Monday the 18th again.
I didn't realize most of the... In fact, up until the point we opened up the Wikipedia page, that this is a sequel. Yeah. I actually thought it said Happy Birthday 20 instead of to you. Like, oh, is it like a weird sort of like 20th birthday thing? Yeah. I don't know. Based on, not based on it, the sequel to another film called Happy
Death Day. Yeah.
So the basic premise is that it's a slasher film sort of meets Groundhog Day, I believe is how they describe it, where every time the protagonist gets murdered, they go back to the start and have to relive it over and over again until she figures out who the killer is and defeats her, which I imagine she did in the first film.
I assume so.
And then all of a sudden, she's back at the beginning again, and it's the same loop over and over again, and she has to constantly die and constantly learn things each time. I actually really like the premise to this. I think it's a really novel concept.
Yeah, it's this particular film as well. It doesn't go entirely down the slasher route either. It is kind of a mix as well of humor and horror.
Yeah.
And yeah, conceptually, It looks wild. It kind of goes into a lot more detail with the time loop than I would have expected out of a film like this.
There's a point at the end where it becomes a little bit more meta than you'd expect, and that's what really sort of made me think, hey, this might be a sequel where you possibly see a time machine. There's possibly these doppelganger things happening. I'm like, this isn't something that you would normally see if it was like the first film with this concept, and then you realize it's a sequel. It's like, okay, they're actually sort of playing with the format a little bit.
Yeah.
This, more than any other film that I think I've watched all year, has made me go, I actually want to watch the original. I'm actually going to probably go away after this and sit down and see what they actually do with this idea, because I quite like it.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
It's also got a really nice, that, you know, the original slasher films were a little bit low budget.
Yeah.
They never really had any sort of big name actors to them. It was all sort of like shot in a very sort of economical way, and this has a very similar sort of feel to it as well, which I quite like.
Which is nice. Nice to see a couple of like original ideas come out of the slasher film genre. So go see that if you want at some point. All right. Those are the 3 trailers for this week's episode, but of course, before we can do anything with those, we're going to have to take a little walk over to the green room. Let's have a quick recap of this week's trailers.
So we have an overly computer animated kids adventure fantasy film based off a book series.
Yep.
We have a underdog sports story based off a documentary of an obscure but incredibly popular sport. Obscure is not the right word there. And finally, we have a genre mashup slasher slash sci-fi
slash.
I think it's just a slasher mashup.
Yeah, slasher mashup.
I like it.
That rolls off quite
Slasher
well.
mashup.
Slasher mashup.
So I believe it really sort of depends on how you measure these things. So I'm fairly sure I chose the last trailer.
A couple of episodes ago. So I believe it's my turn. And really, I can't go past slasher mashup. I think we're going to have to make something out of Happy Death Day to You.
It was a slasher mash. No slasher mash.
That's right. I'm sick of kids' films. We did one last week, and we had to do a lot of legal wrangling to get that across the line and get us some money. So I really don't want to go near that again.
We've done a fair few underdog sports films as well. We've got Paddles of Destiny, and there was an air hockey one at some point as well.
Wasn't that Paddles of Destiny?
What was the pinball one then? What
we made a pinball one. Oh,
on a very quick aside, I have actually been watching professional foosballers on YouTube. Those guys are crazy. Like, legitimately, if you spend enough time becoming the best in the country at a certain thing, you actually, like, it's absolutely insane. But it's not about foosball this week. It's about a slasher mashup.
No, but okay, I like that. I like what you just said about, like, if you spend enough time on something, you become the best at it. So what if we flip the slasher sort of genre on its head and say, what if we follow the life of a person who wants to be the best slasher?
Oh, I like maybe possibly going, it's, you know how the slasher films are always like, you know, there's 5 main protagonists and only one of them survive. Maybe we do that where there's a group of people and they're all slashers. And we follow them as they stalk and select their groups of people to kill. And in like 4 out of the 5 of them, the group of plucky teenagers overcome the slasher, but we're rooting for the one slasher to actually finish off their group of teenagers.
Well, you know what we could do? We could mash the slasher genre up with documentary. Ooh. So what if we are following the lives of 5 would-be slashers?
Yes.
Not in a kind of like reality TV show way where it's like an actual competition, but just like fly on the wall kind of documentary where these 5 people are trying to live out their lives. But underneath it all, they're trying to be the best slasher they can be. But part of it is also like who leads the most mundane life? Who is like the most or the least likely to be held held under suspicion of murder if they are like happen to be seen on CCTV. It's this kind of stuff, right? And I like the idea that
who has the best twist?
Who has the best twist?
It's like, it's like we're sitting there going, we know it's the best friend. It's been the best friend all along. Or, you know, could it be the twins? They're doing this whole, you know, we saw you at the same time at the same location. You're each other's alibis, but it's really 2 people acting as the one serial killer.
The radical plastic surgery.
Oh, I like that.
I've altered my appearance so much that I'm now unrecognizable from my previous self.
But what's the previous self? What was?
Who knows?
Exactly.
Well, then that's a double twist. The previous self was one of the twins. I don't know. It could be anything. I love this. And like, there's so many other sort of tropes. What's your most favorite murder weapon? What's your justification for doing this as well? What's your justification? What's your backstory? Like, what is your tragic tale? What is your like slight air of psychopathic like madness, or like what is it that compels you to do this?
So the issue becomes like, what tone do we set with this film, though?
Yeah.
Because you could like mockumentaries tend to take themselves seriously, and the humor becomes like this is Spinal Tap. Because they're taking themselves so seriously as a rock band. That's where the humor comes from.
Yeah.
But like slashers have gone with this whole sort of like self-awareness to it as well, which I'm not sure you can really get out of a documentary. Do they know that it's a documentary? Is it supposed to be funny because it is a documentary? Or are we doing it more sort of like this is like somewhat serious, making a murderer style thing, but because it's also like behind the scenes of a slasher? I don't know. I don't know where you head with this one.
I feel like okay, we need to get. I think we can get 2 levels of meta going here.
Okay.
The first level of meta is perhaps these like people who are auditioning for their role in a slasher film, and maybe the directors are saying, "Well, what are you willing to do to get this role?" Like method acting style. But then I think the second meta twist is like, at some point, the people making the documentary become the targets of one of these slashers as well.
Oh, this is so good.
Yeah.
I like this whole... Yeah.
So like the camera crew is following this one slasher, right? Because it's like their turn to be filmed for this segment. But then they're like constantly whipping around to see what's going on behind them because they're hearing things.
This
because
is perfect.
One of the other slashers has just decided, fuck it, I'm going to take on
the
documentary crew.
To show myself as being the most committed to being cast. Like, I mean, obviously it's to start off with one of the people has been murdered.
Yeah.
And then we go, well, you know, to get method, this person who was an aspiring slasher actor was in a town where there is no known serial killer to try and get in there.
Yeah.
And then was it the serial killer who killed the camera member? Was it the aspiring slasher? Or is it real meta again where one of the documentary crew members is like trying to make it more interesting, and suddenly you've got this whole sort of...
I think it absolutely has to be the second level of meta there, but I think it needs to be a producer trying to make it more interesting.
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
Just like so the documentary crew is just like oblivious to this. They just think they've been sent out to do this thing to record all these aspiring slashers, but the producer in the background is like, this is not exciting enough.
You know what the twist could be? Is that everyone involved has done one of the murders, but no one's done multiple murders.
That's right, yeah.
But the serial killer kills the first one because they go to the town, and then the producer's like, oh, that's really good. It'd be great if we could kill more people, but no one else dies. I'm like, well, I'm going to have to take it into my own hands. And then the person who's the aspiring actor to play the slasher is like, I'm being showed up. I want to, and then someone's just like, I just thought we were just killing people, so someone else gets murdered. Someone dies by accident. And all of a sudden, like, you've got this, you know, who done it? It's like, well, everyone done it.
Is that what it needs to come down to as well? Like right at the end, it's just like, well, all of us have only killed one, so therefore we can't be
a serial killer. We
can't all be serial killers.
We're just murderers.
And that's just not good enough.
Yeah.
So should it
no. Then it becomes a competition.
Like a battle royale.
Only one person left to kill.
Yeah.
And to be crowned a serial killer, they have to kill multiple times, and so it becomes all of them hunting down the...
I feel like the last person they need to kill is the producer of the documentary.
Okay.
And then the way it should end is the producer gets killed, but then as a result, the film has to shut down because there is no one left to actually put this thing together. So like by winning the competition, you fail the competition because the film doesn't exist after that.
The producer who's also maybe the writer and director.
Yeah. It's like the head vampire, right? You kill the head vampire and they all disappear. Well, that's what's going to happen if you kill the producer.
It's like
of the film.
we won the competition, we won the role to be a serial killer. Oh no, we've killed the guy who's going to make the film.
That's right.
And so now we don't have the film to be in.
That's it. Yeah. And that should be the end.
Yeah.
But I think it needs to, it does need to be and I feel like
twist.
We do
I've got a twist.
Okay.
The serial killer in the town that they go to visit was part of the original film production.
Yeah.
That they would try to do it the first time.
This is a remake.
No, it is the first one, but it becomes this cyclical thing where they've actually tried this once before.
Yep.
And the serial killer went around and actually killed everyone who was involved in the production.
Yep. Okay, great.
They try and go, hey, what's this project that we found?
Yep.
And then, we've killed everyone.
Yep.
And then the last bit is guys going, we found this really interesting script.
Yep.
And it's then bringing a new lot of people through.
Oh, great. That's, okay. So then it just keeps looping around.
Yeah.
They keep trying to make this film. and then killing each
each other.
There's
and
only
then
one left.
The town that they go to get the insight because there's been a lot of murders
Yep.
is because originally they tried to shoot the film there and there was
Yep.
a lot of murders
Yep,
and
yep,
it just
yep.
keeps going
Perfect.
round and round and round.
So like, yeah, so the final battle should be just like they get picked off one by one, and then you sort of get one or two contenders coming up through the ranks who have equal amount of kills.
Yeah.
And then it comes down to sort of like the final round, and yeah, that's it. They wipe out their own film. But then, yeah, by virtue of that, they then create the next one because they're just like, well, maybe we'll do this now. Maybe we'll shoot this film.
So there's never a film but always a sequel.
Yeah, exactly. Should the script be like a MacGuffin of some kind? Maybe
I think so.
Yeah, like a cursed relic or something.
Yeah, I'm bringing elements of The Ring in there as well.
Yep,
I like.
yep.
There's definitely some found footage elements
Yep.
of
the
Blair Witch in there as.
The Ring was too technologically advanced with VHS video. I'm going back to just script.
Yeah,
pages of
typewritten script. Yeah,
not even typewritten. I think it's like handwritten script.
Oh,
like
really?
A script outline or something. Yeah.
Have you
that's the-
seen? Again, way off track there. The bonus features for Indiana Jones,
Jeez.
where
Yeah.
the guy who wrote Indiana Jones legitimately just wrote it on yellow legal pad.
Yeah,
and just
yeah.
sat down with his pen and paper and
Yep.
just wrote the whole thing out. I'm just like,
Yep.
that's awesome.
That's
that's this thing.
That's this
is,
thing. This is the cursed relic.
and it's on that yellow legal notepad
yep.
paper.
Should maybe the pencil that wrote it was cursed and it sort of
I
passed
don't
on
think
its
we ever
curse.
explained that.
Don't explain it?
Possibly
Okay.
until the sequel.
Yeah.
But it's never an original, always a
No,
sequel.
we don't do a sequel. We do a like in-universe sidequel, which is
Oh,
like
right.
You know how The Conjuring has this whole like universe now, where
Yeah.
like it's the doll and the
nun
nun
and the-
all the other stuff. This will be ours.
Okay, yeah,
This
sure.
will be ours, and we do
just
this
branch
film.
off.
We do this film. It's a nice, self-contained film.
It's just called
great.
the Pencil.
Wait, so the name of this film
No,
now is
no, the spin-off, the side
sidequel
one is The Pen-
sidequel is called The Pencil. We'll figure out the name for this film at some point.
point.
Yeah, that's it. And then we'll just branch off into this whole other universe. Who knows what that pencil has written?
No.
Probably wrote children's stories.
Exactly.
And that's how the Lion King CGI was born. Great. Okay, so let's cast this.
I don't think we need to. I
No?
think
Okay.
just like in the tradition of
Just no
classic
one's.
slashers,
Yeah.
it's everyone's first film.
Yeah.
It's
I do. Okay, one caveat. I agree with that. It should be everyone's first film. There does need to be like one or two super popular actors that you put at the bottom of the starring list so
Yeah.
that aspiring producers like myself miss them and don't realize they're in the film, a la Judi Dench in
Yeah.
whatever that film was.
I think you've got the whole it is a new batch of
Yeah.
teenagers that we're getting killed.
Yeah.
But for some reason Jamie Lee Curtis is the wizened lady who says this happened before and it'll happen again. So we need one of those people.
We need a Jamie Lee Curtis type because we can't cast her.
What about Drew Barrymore?
Drew Barrymore?
I think
Great.
she gets hacked and slashed at the start of the first Scream film. I think
Yep.
she could possibly be.
Yep.
Hey,
yeah.
and she's playing Drew Barrymore as well.
Yeah,
So
of course.
she's hey, I was getting out of this Hollywood lifestyle. I was
Yep,
trying to
yep.
go away to this small country town, and she becomes embroiled in the.
Should she be
plot
like
somehow.
the first victim or something? Maybe.
I think she shows up about 3 victims in.
Okay.
Like you see her in town, and then she shows up with a shotgun at some point. She's like,
Yep.
"Hey, you thought I was just going to be like a cameo in the trailer, but hey, no, I'm in this film."
Okay, so she gets killed at some.
She
point
does get killed at
later
some
on.
point, yeah.
All right. For some reason, when you suggested Drew Barrymore, I did not think of Scream initially. I just thought of E.T. I'm like, where can I connect that to? But I'm like, no, I don't.
We're not bringing aliens into this one. Not until
the second side
the pencil in space.
The pencil in space. The pencil has like alien origins or something.
Yeah.
And it was like planted there at the time of the pyramids or something. And yeah, anyway. Okay. So, really, I think the last thing we have to do is give this a name.
We do.
Which is always a problem. But anyway, we're dealing with a cursed script. We're dealing with a cyclical time loop kind of thing. We're dealing with multiple serial killers, a documentary. Slasher, yep.
Small town.
I think it needs to be like slash as in like the forward slash.
Okay.
Slash something. Slash cut.
Slash cut.
Yeah. Kind of like the cut of a film. As you cut to different things.
I really like it, and it's literally just the
forward slash cut.
Cut.
Yeah, and then cuts like written in capital letters with that that font they use for writing scripts. I think it's Courier.
It is
something.
Courier, yeah.
So it's just that. That's the poster. Forward
Slash
slash cut.
See, I was thinking, like, I went on a tangent of Control X, but I don't think that works on a typewriter.
No, that'll be the sequel to the pencil, where the pencil becomes a computer object.
Yes. Okay, we'll save these brilliant ideas for later. But this is just called slash cut.
Slash cut, yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, I do too. All right, I think that's a wrap.
I think that does it.
Yeah.
I feel as though there's so many confusing and great elements to that film that, like, also I kind of feel as though there's going to be so much, like, just found footage stuff.
Oh, yeah,
that our editors are going to have a nightmare putting something coherent together.
You know what they'll do? They'll do the same thing they did for the first Anchorman film. You know how they, like, released Anchorman, and then later on they released, like, the pseudo sequel to Anchorman, which was just made from, like, the disused bits of the first. They shot so much footage for the first Anchorman film, they were able to make a completely different film just from that footage. And I've watched it, and it's like, it works as a whole film. I don't know how, but it does. And they don't, like, repeat footage from the original and just sort of jam it in there to feel. It's a completely different film.
You know what we could do is get the guitarist from Guns N' Roses to do their own version of it, and we can call it the slash cut.
All right.
Oh dear.
All right, great. I like that. So Slash is making his editorial debut, not even directorial,
with the slash cut. Okay. We'll release it simultaneously.
All right, great. Do we need to cast a director for this? Do we need to, like, wedge in a director there?
Who knows? I don't know. Who would be good for this one?
I don't know. Who's good at cutting? Michael Bay. It has to be Michael Bay. He's just the man who cuts every 0.5 of a second.
But he's going to fill the... I really want it to be just, like, actually shot on actual sets with actual people in actual places.
Yeah. All right. We'll just... I mean, indie directors. We'll just go to the local uni or something and throw this script at them and say, what do you think? Would you mind shooting this? And if you can supply your own cameras as well, that would be great.
And actors, just round up some of your friends.
Whatever.
I think Sam Raimi did that. Like, Bruce Campbell was a good friend from school, and they just went into the woods for a weekend and shot Evil Dead. So... I'm sure,
based on true events.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm sure we'll do exactly the same thing. There's bound to be a talented filmmaker or auteur at the local,
probably
video store.
Sure, why not?
We'll go to the last remaining Blockbuster in Australia.
That's
and
right,
just wait in the horror section till someone shows up to rent a VHS.
We'll
say, "It's you. You're our director. You're our low budget indie film man. Come with us."
Or woman, one of the two. All right, I think that's a wrap.
I think it is.
Housekeeping as per usual. We are online at moviefilmstudios.net, where you can find all of our previous episodes, our bios, and Mufuzawudada, Movie Film Studios digital distribution platform.
You forgot the workshop, but I'll forgive you.
Damn! This is when we had a digital workshop.
Yeah.
And then he made the digital distribution platform.
Yeah.
Anyway.
From way back when.
Which is a list of every single film that we've created on this podcast. Search Facebook for Movie Film Studios and join the community where we post clues as to the films we've watched in upcoming episodes. Happy Death Day to you. That might be okay.
That's doable in emojis.
Artemis Fowl.
That's going to be the anagram one this week, guys.
Fighting with the family. That should be fighting with my family.
That should actually probably Google Translate quite well. So
beautiful.
Yeah, my work's done for me already.
If you like listening to podcasts from different distribution platforms, hoping for minute differences between them, then perhaps you'd like to check out Movie Film Studios on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, our website, and pretty much any other place that you get podcasts. Yep. Listen real carefully. There might be some slight differences in there.
There's not.
They're exactly
except for this bit. This bit you only get on iTunes.
Sorry for all the other ones who just heard a blank space just then. And I think that's it.
All that remains is to thank you again for listening this week. I've been Isaac.
And I've been AJ.
Roll credits.
Watch me